All right, thank you, Father, for the question. You asking which is appropriate. Do we wear the Amice over the alb, or we wear it over the cassock or the clerical dress? The straightforward answer is to say that um, the Amice is supposed to be worn uh, before the alb is put on. Okay, so we don't put on the Amice over the alb. It's not done because of the reasons I'm going to give anyway. So it's supposed to be worn before because of what it does and what it signifies. Okay. Now, there are many sources for this. Thank God, anyway. The first one be the ceremonial of bishops. Again, also the Roman Pontifical, also covers the same issue. When you go to Roman Pontifical, the section about ordinations, they list the vestment to be worn before the ordination of deacons, ordination of priests, ordination of bishops. And always you read there, you have the Amice, you have the harp, you have the cincture, then you have the stole, and then it continues. Okay. And when it comes to the ceremonial of bishops, which is like a guiding book, a guideline on how bishops celebrate their offices, sacraments, and other things belonging to bishops. Again, on a section of on the bishops, priests, and deacons ordinations, it's clear. It's also listed the Amice, harp, cincture, stole, and then the others will continue. All right, so these are enough sources. Then another one will be the Book of Rites. I don't know whether we all have access to that as priests, but maybe. So again, if you go there in the section about ordinations, it's also mentioned, that there's an Amice, there's an Ab, there's cincture, there's stole, again, just as the three references I made already. But then let me use the one which is, in my own belief or my own estimation, which is common to all of us, which is the general instruction, the Roman Missal. I believe that this one, each priest can easily get one, have access to it. So over there, of course, it's clarified. But let me take the paragraph number 336, 336, which specifically gives a straightforward answer, just as I mentioned at the beginning. The sacred garment common to ordained and instituted ministers of any rank is the harp. Of course, you are not talking about the harp today, but then that's how it begins. To be tied at the waist with a cincture, unless it is made so as to fit even without such. Then continue this same paragraph 336 of the gem, the general instruction of the Roman Missal. The gem, before the harp is put on, should this not completely cover the ordinary clothing at the neck, the Amice should be put on. Okay, so this part will be what we are interested in. So it's clear before the harp, before the harp is put on, it says. So over there it's clear that the Amice is supposed to be worn before the harp. But then if you look at the paragraph we just read, it gives us also the reason for the Amice, the reason for the Amice. It says if the arm doesn't completely, the bed is completely cover the ordinary clothing of the priest, then he needs this Amice. Okay. All right. Let us go into that because it's important. Okay, you see, when we are going to celebrate Mass or any liturgical celebration as priests or the ministers, the first thing is that it's not about you. It's not about us. So we keep saying that the Eucharist or the celebration or the liturgy, it's not about us. It's about the Christ and his church. So one way to let you know that, look, it's not about you, Father, who is celebrating. The church says, even in your dressing, when you are going to a sanctuary, you are going to minister. Don't let anything that is personal to you be shown or be seen, even when you are dressed. Can you imagine that? This is deep theology. Okay, so the Amice comes in. So if you are wearing something within and you put on the arm, and that dress is still showing, especially the neck, they mention the neck area, then the Amice has to cover that. I mean, what is shown, what is left, that is from your inner dress you now wear. Okay, so that means to cover it. So that is the work of the Amice, to cover any part of your ordinary clothing, that is still left, that can still be seen even after you put on your arb. Okay. So it's supposed to be completely covered, because Paul tells us it's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. So once you are going to a sanctuary as a priest, deacon, any other minister, it's not about you. So the church said, cover yourself fully. Don't show anything that is about you. No, it's not about you. So that's why in our vestment, in our dressing, priest, religious, whatever, we should be careful. Anything that you put on to go and celebrate, that will bring attention to you. Make sure that you try to overcome it. If it's possible, don't do that. It's not about us. So the Amice covers the inner wear. This inner wear we are not told, because it's not mentioned that it's cassock or clerical dress. But obviously, he says ordinary clothing, and ordinary clothing for priest is our cassock or the clerical dress. In some parlance, it's called the street dressing, the street clothing. The street clothing, the street dress of a priest is the cassock. So our cassocks and our clerical dresses or clerical shirts, they are not liturgical garments, and they are street clothing. Street is ordinary clothing. So when we are going for mass, for any liturgical celebration, and we are wearing these, we have to always wear the arb, to cover these ones that we have already, because some about us. So now put on the arb, you have put on Christ, and then we go up there to celebrate. And then it says that if you put on this arb and some part of your dressing that you have within or before is showing, now especially the neck, use this Amice to what? To cover it. Then doesn't show. Okay. This is quite new in the sense that it's only 1972, 1970s, that this optional way of wearing the Amice was introduced. From what we read, or what I've read to you, we realize that it says that if your dress is showing, then you have to put it on, which means that if the dress is not showing, you don't need the Amice, which is true. That is today. This is the contemporary, the current usage of the Amice. It's used to keep away, whatever is left in us that is still showing, because the celebration, the liturgy is not about you. So cover yourself fully before you go there. Okay. But before 1970s, Vatican II, it was compulsory that the priests and deacons must, of course, bishops must wear the Amice, because of the spiritual, the theological meaning behind the Amice. It's more of the meaning behind it, not the reasons also. The practical reason is what I've given you, covering the inner wear, Okay. And what is the spiritual meaning or theology of the Amice? You see, when you're going to wear the Amice, now let me go into the Amice itself. We usually put around our shoulders. That's the way to wear it. Some say put around your shoulders reminds us of the cross of Christ. So it's kind of also reminding you that you are put on the cross of Christ. Jesus will tell us, do you want to follow me? Pick up your cross daily and follow me. Put your cross on your shoulders. So some say, we tie it around our shoulders to remind us of the fact that we are carrying the cross of Christ. But then the proper way, traditional way to wear the Amice is that first, when you pick it up, you're supposed to put it to cover as if you are covering your head like a hood, a hood, to cover your head for some few seconds. Then before you bring it down to your neck, first you cover your head as if you are covering with a hood, and then move it to your neck. Because that is the spiritual meaning. It's a helmet of salvation. So by doing that, when the Amice, the spiritual meaning of the Amice, the theological meaning of the Amice is that it's supposed to be your spiritual helmet of salvation to ward off impure thoughts. So the church is telling us that before we go for celebration, we must kind of is that a way to use? Cover our thoughts, Now think of things that are spiritual, So to ward off the attempts of the evil, the prayer being before you put on the Amice, tell us, Lord, put on me the helmet of salvation on my head, and then give me the power to overcome the assault of the evil. Okay, so the Amice is very spiritual. So you are covering yourself, your mind, so that evil intentions, worldly intentions, worldly thoughts will not come to you as you go to the altar, the sanctuary. So it's now saying that now you are decided your mind should be on the sanctuary, your mind should be on the spiritual things. Obviously, the devil can, as you, those of us who are priests, sometimes you're on the sanctuary, and then your mind can go wayward, So this Amice is supposed to be the spiritual helmet to ward off such thoughts. So when we are celebrating Mass or the liturgy, our minds don't wander, to things that are not spiritual, that are not about God, They are temptations. So to ward off some thoughts that become temptations to us. So that is the spiritual meaning. For this reason, some will still wear the Amice even if the herb covers their neck fully, because of the meaning behind it. So that's why before Vatican II, in the 70s, it was compulsory. You have to wear it to give that spiritual reminder to a priest that, look, you are going there and you have to ward off your mind from earthly thinkings and temptations. Let God cover you so your mind is fixed on Him. So that is the spiritual meaning of the Amice. So even though we hear that it is optional if your dress is not showing, or if it's showing, we still wear the Amice today, of course, because of the spiritual meaning, to keep our minds fixed on God and the sacrament which we are going to celebrate. Okay, so going to end now. The part about the herb fitting and not fitting is important. The herb is usually oversized. That's my own way. It's huge because it's supposed to cover everything. That's why they don't usually. The herb is not like the cassock. The cassock is quite framed. What way should I use? Customize. But the herb is always oversized because it's supposed to cover everything. Should be big enough to cover everything that you are wearing before you put it on. Okay, so that's just a part of the herb. Okay, so friends, my brother, for this question, thank you. I hope that this will do some justice to the question of wearing the Amice before the celebration. So don't wear it over the herb. No, it's worn, or is inward before the herb is put on. Okay, so that if you wear the cassock or you wear your clerical dress and then you go to the sanctuary, the sacristy, and you put on your herb, you realize that the neck of the clerical dress is still showing, or the neck of your cassock is still showing. It means that you need an Amice. Put the Amice on. So first, you wear your cassock, you wear a clerical dress, put on your Amice to cover your neck fully so that the clerical dress, the color doesn't show, your cassock doesn't show. Then you put on your herb, and then you can wear their dress and then you go for the celebration. These days, some of us want to show our clerical dress, in the herb, as in my own words, the kind of fashion, the clerical is showing is nice. No, no, no. You're not supposed to show that clerical color, when you are in herb. It should not show at all. It should not be seen. So you need an Amice to cover it. Okay. All right. So if there's some other, you can let me know. But this is what the church is telling us to do in terms of wearing the Amice and the usage of the Amice. Thank you so much. God bless you. And please pray for me.